Hello. Uh, Welcome to Ill-Informed Opinions again. As always, you can comment, request, insult, whatever you want to do. Feel free. Um, this is always live, so I may respond to something, but I probably won't because no one seems to watch these. So, my name's Joseph Cadot. I am an editor for a trade, and I write uh, for fun. I have several books out. I'll discuss those later. Right now, let's get into our topic. Um, it's a very simple one, although it's deceptively complex once you delve into it. The question at hand is, will Trump ever return to the White House? And there's been court cases and vote reviews and all sorts of things regarding that. And I think we all know the answer. Despite what 57% of radical Republicans think, the answer to that is completely and utterly no. That will not happen except if he's invited as a guest or pays for a tour. But since he avoids paying for anything, including his lawyers, I sincerely doubt that's going to happen. So, he thinks he's going to run again. So do a lot of people who are funding Trump 2024. And those are the people I really want to talk about. To be clear, it's extremely rare for someone to run for office, lose, a sitting president to run for office, lose, and then run again successfully. So no party in its right mind is going to do that unless they want to die horribly. Or, as in the case of the Green Party, they make a bunch of shit up and take money from Russia, which they did. So, let's get back to the thing which is really interesting about this effort. Okay, there have been 60 odd court cases, not one of which went Trump's way. Many of those cases were tried before Trump appointees. So packing the courts ain't gonna help. Many of the people who cited against him in the election recounts were Trump appointees. Again, that's not gonna help. His own lawyers admitted in court that they have no evidence to support these claims at all. And one of them's got suspended for that very thing. So that's not going to help. So it's not going to happen. Thank God. But if we look at the people who support him, that's where it actually gets interesting. Because people like Mike Lindell, who insists that Trump is getting out on August 13th and going to be president again, as opposed to serving time or being hit with massive debts, as every bill he ever accrued comes due, and all these interest-free loans he got from Russia and China and Saudi Arabia are called in. That's not going to happen, according to Mike Lindell. He's going to be president again. And there's a bunch of people who believe exactly what he does. And that's the scary part, because this is what's called a cult. Despite all the evidence, every single time, and I do want to discuss QAnon, but let's save that for another video or two. Every single time there's been a deadline that Trump will rise victorious like a phoenix, and all of a sudden come down and bring back the glory of the Trump, I don't know what you want to call it, tyranny is probably the best word for it, because we've had literally 3 dictators in the United States history. Andrew Jackson, who violated the Constitution on many occasions. Lincoln violated the Constitution on several occasions, including suspending habeas corpus. And of course, FDR, who just basically thought the Constitution was a piece of paper that he could wipe his ass on. And number 4 was what Donald Trump tried to do. And so he didn't quite succeed because, unlike the others, he's a friggin' idiot. And he had horrible advice. But he tried. So, people still believe. Time and time again, they're shown to be wrong. And people still believe this is coming. This isn't unique. This really isn't unique. This is what's called actually millennialism, where a millennialist or millennialist belief system is one where everything chugs along and then something magical happens, and all of a sudden all of everything is shifted, and for the better, at least according to the proponents. Although usually, if you talk to anybody who's outside that system, it would be drastically for the worse. So Trump's people follow in this tradition. And all of these things are cults. You actually can't be a millennialist without being a cultist. This isn't to say there aren't benign millennialist organizations, or at least neutral ones. There are a lot of those, actually. Or at least they try to be. But the number of pernicious ones well outweigh the good ones. One of the more neutral ones is the Seventh-day Adventists, who keep on saying Jesus is coming any week now, and they give you a specific date, and Jesus still has yet to come. Or maybe he's come many times, and they just happen to be in the wrong part of the world to see Jesus. I don't know. And maybe the Jehovah's Witnesses have been right, and Jesus has come multiple times again. Except that every time they say it's going to happen, everybody except for 144,000 Christians are going to die. But that's a whole nother thing about numerology in the Bible, which, by the way, 144,000 from a numerological standpoint at the time meant a perfect collection of everyone. So that's not going to happen. Those are quasi-neutral, slightly negative and pernicious cults. Then we have Marxists. Those are people who don't understand how evil they actually are. Talking about how the Marxist way of what Marx said. First, you have the state, which is ruled by business and nobles and yet etc. And then you have a workers' revolt. And rather than replacing the nobles with more nobles from the workers' side of things, you get a dictatorship of the proletariat, which seems to where Marxist specifically states get stuck. Communism and Marxism are different things. I want to make that clear. I'm not talking about communism. I'm talking about Marxism, which is its own brand of evil. Genocidal evil. So you get, and then miracle appears, similar to the coming of Jesus, but I guess it's atheist Jesus. Comes down and the state dissolves and everybody lives in harmony forever, which will never happen. Nor should it. It sounds like Imagine by John Lennon, which is a nightmare of a song if you think about it. Same thing is true with these Trumpists. They believe that the miracle occurs and Trump rises up to become president. All the evidence to the contrary. In the case of Marxism, the 100 million plus people genocided, the billions of people enslaved, they don't count. That's just a step to the true utopian state of the classless utopia, where everything comes from someone according to their ability to everybody according to their need. So, which is a great idea, but try working on it. Also define need. You can't. I need to do something on scarcity and needs, but If somebody ever watches this, remind me. So, we have the Trumpists, and they are behaving like a cult. They are saying that if this happened, which Trump tried to do, because I'll give this to Trump, he tried to do everything he promised. There's not a thing he promised, except for his healthcare plan and infrastructure plan, that he did not really work hard to try to push forward. He tried to get rid of the blacks. He tried to get rid of the Mexicans. He tried to silence the Jews and the Catholics and the Muslims and anybody else he would categorize as other. He did his best to keep gay people down, despite what the Supreme Court kept on saying, or trans people, despite what the military said to both aspects of those. He wanted to destroy the environment, and he succeeded sensibly. He wanted to gut our infrastructure, and we have COVID to thank for his deciding to get rid of Bush's plans to maintain a preventative measure anti-pandemic office. So he did all these things, or at least he tried. He tried to build the wall with Mexico because everybody knows if you have planes and boats, a wall works really well. And he did his best for that wall. And Mexico will pay for it someday. But these are the things that are still preached. And it is preaching because it's not like any of this is based in reality. It's not like any of this is based in any credible outlook on anything. It's like the anti-vaxxers. Evidence after evidence, which he was. Evidence after evidence after evidence piles up against you. And you ignore it because that's not how you feel. For the people who buy organic food, it's just greenwash marketing. It's actually worse for the planet on basically every level. But you believe it. It feels better to believe that. Despite the fact that this amount of evidence supports what you want to say. And there's this much which supports what you accept or believe. You know, unless of course you're listening to raving loons like Breitbart or the Food Babe or Alex Jones, who buys into both sides of everything. And by both sides I mean like the crazy anti-science crowd and the crazy hardcore alt-right crowd. So these people come forward again and again with these non-evidence beliefs. And I'm not talking non-evidence like they believe in a specific sort of God, because that's something that can't be proven or disproven. No, we're talking about things which are absolutely disproven. And they come forward and they say, yes, but Trump helped the economy, which isn't true. But Trump helped stop COVID, which is exactly the opposite of true. But Trump, unified the country. No, he unified white supremacists. People like me are not part of this group. And we're the parts which are targeted. And I'm the palest, most acceptable version that they would want. And they don't like me. They sure as hell won't like my black friends. They sure as hell won't like my Muslim friends or my Jewish friends. Or any number of other people. And I sure as hell don't want them around. But, not my friends, the people who don't like them. But they still get the support. It is a cult. It is a pure and simple cult. And this is the issue that we see with political cults all over the place. Maoism, perfect example. People say to this day that the Cultural Revolution, which destroyed artwork that went back thousands of years, killed tens of thousands, if not millions of people, and enslaved the entire country into gutting the great traditions of the Chinese people, that was the high point of civilization. The same people who say that the Great Leap Forward was an immense time of industrialization, killed literally 30 million people minimum. Minimum. This is a belief which is taught and embraced. And I've seen people who are raised in China come over here and exposed to history written by other Chinese people, not by Americans, not by, us ghost people with the round eyes, but, just written by other people who came from China, who are reading this, and they consider it all lies. And show them the evidence, show them pictures of the camps, show them pictures of the camps which are going on, and they believe it. They believe what the state says because that is their God. And Trump has taken the place of God in these people's minds. And I want to leave you with that. Because political cults are a dangerous thing. Never, ever assign yourself to the point where you're willing to believe that, say, go along with another guy who's nowhere near successful but is also a cult leader. Bernie Sanders, for example, argues that the poor and the middle class pay most of the taxes in this country. That's absolutely not true. More than 50% of the population doesn't pay any taxes in this country. Or rather, what they send off, what they get back, is a net profit on their side. Okay? The rich, the top 10%, pay almost all the taxes that are accrued in this country. They get almost all the tax breaks because they pay almost all the taxes, which is really easy to figure out. But this belief, no matter how many times people point out the graphs, the charts, the information from the federal government, the information from independent auditors, that's thrown away. That's a political cult. That's what Trump is doing. And that's what people like Mike Lindell and Giuliani and all Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these white supremacists, neo-Nazis are doing. They are leading a fucking cult. And Trump is their god. With that said, bye-bye. You can buy my books on Amazon. My name's Joseph Cadott. Hope to talk to you guys soon. Take care.